Welcome everyone to the second round of the FIDE World Cup 2025. This is the round in which all the top seeds enter in. We have Arjun Erigaisi, one of the top players of the tournament. He takes on Martin Petrov from Bulgaria, who's rated 2548. Arjun has the black pieces, Martin has white. Martin takes his time for the first move and opens with pawn to e4. Arjun responds back with the super solid pawn to e5. And this will be very interesting matchup because Arjun is known for his creative and aggressive play. Knight comes out to f3 and black plays his knight to c6. The bishop comes out to c4. We have the Italian on the board, bishop to c5. And pawn comes up to d3. And knight to f6. This is a very normal classical way to play that Arjun has chosen. He generally has some sharp offbeat lines up his sleeve, but today decides to be very solid. Pawn to a4 played, trying to gain space on the queen side, and now short castles here. Again, pawn to a5, pushing forward, a6 played by Arjun, trying to stop the pawn from coming further ahead, and now bishop e3, one of the most solid ways to play. Arjun takes it, and f e3, he takes back here. He comes back, knight to e7. Now with this pawn to e3, the rook opens up, and also these two squares are off limits for the black knight. So knight comes to c3. At some point Arjun wants to play d5, but the e5 pawn would be hanging, so now he first defends it. h3, and now perhaps c6 and d5 could be on the horizon. Yes, that's what he plays. Pawn to c6, threatening d5 now, but white first plays d4, and Arjun calmly brings his queen, although pawn takes pawn, and d5 could very well have been possible. Pawn comes up to d5, and now bishop to d7 played. White goes back, knight to d2. The pawn on e4 is protected and overprotected here. Rook c8. Arjun starting to put pressure on the bishop on c4. He takes, and you have to take back with the bishop. If you take back with the pawn, you lose the a6 pawn, so bishop takes c6. And Martin now plays queen e2. You will see that although white has these doubled pawns, they take away key squares from the black knights, and also the d5 square is under control. The d6 pawn is slightly weak, so I like white's position. Actually, Arjun has to be careful. Bishop e6 played. Now you could take here potentially, but rightly played knight a4. Black can break in the center with d5. It's a very interesting move, but he goes knight d7. Doesn't want to enter any tactics right now. Arjun. King comes to h2. So very steady and stable position. Knight to c5 played. Offering a trade. Takes. Rook takes c5. And bishop e6. You now have queen takes on e6. And in order to stop d5, maybe c4 makes a lot of sense. That's what he does. Generally, when you have pawns on c4 and e4, the d4 square becomes weak. But here, because he has the doubled pawn, this is an advantage of having doubled pawns here. Rook goes to d8. And now pawn to b3, just calmly defending the c4 pawn. Maybe b4 will come at some point. The queen goes back. And the king comes to h1. And now h6, just a small improving move. A very slow position. Both players could very well at some point agree to a draw as well here. But maybe knight c6 now for Arjun. Attacking the a5 pawn, also looking at the b4 square. He goes queen c7, attacking a5, pawn to b4, pushed. The rook is almost trapped there, comes back to c6. And rook to c2. Well, he could have gone rook b2 as well. But rook comes to c2. And queen to d7. The knight jumps up to b3, and you have pawn to rook c7 going back there, rook d2, oof, tripling down the d file. The d6 pawn is weak and is putting immense pressure here. Arjun tries to enter in. He attacks the knight and the pawn. Queen c3 perhaps. He pushes c5 forward. We can't take. The rook is hanging. Goes d5. I think black has equalized here. He takes d5. Maybe not the best move. Queen c3 was better. Rook takes d5. Now the pin is gone. All of a sudden, from being passive, Arjun has converted this into being better here. Do you go queen c3 now? He goes queen to c2. But does this not now impact the b4 pawn? No, he goes rook d7. Yeah, because if you would have taken here, he takes back with the queen, trying to defend and attack here. So rook d7, rook takes d5, rook takes d5, rook takes on d5, knight takes on d5, attacking the b4 pawn twice. He goes queen c4, and now important to take with the knight. Yes, he takes, knight takes b4, and Arjun is clearly better. He wins a pawn, a5 is weak, c5 is weak here, and Martin blunders big time. Queen g4, he gives up his knight. He feels that there is a perpetual with check, 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 check back. But if the queen takes the knight, it defends the f7 pawn. So g6 becomes possible whenever a check comes from f5. He takes on b3, and I think it must have dawned on him that check, king here, check, doesn't force this. g6, the queen defends here, you can't take this, and it is all over. So queen takes b3. You can see Martin Petrov there. He is about to resign here. He's just blundered an entire piece. Handshake, and Arjun Erigaisi scores his first win of the FIDE World Cup 2025. Not a typical flashy Arjun win. It was more in the style of, you can say, Prag, who likes to grind, play kind of very equal, solid positions. But, well, when you are one of the best players in the world, you can play in many different ways, as shown by Arjun. And after the game, Martin and Arjun analyzed for quite some time. We have it in a fast forward mode, and that was very, very nice to see. Arjun now just needs a draw to advance to round 3.